Welcome to Connected Through Change. Men supporting menopause, two voices, one journey. Your host is Russell Betts, author of the international best-selling book, The Good Husband's Guide to Menopause, and founder of the Connected Through Change movement. Each week, you'll hear both the men's and women's perspectives, so you can understand what's really happening beneath the surface and learn how to stay steady, supportive, and connected through one of life's biggest transitions. If you want clarity, confidence, and a stronger relationship during menopause and beyond, you're in the right place. Let's begin.
The house is finally still. Maybe the kids are out for the evening, or maybe they've been out of the house for years. Maybe the email notifications have finally stopped for the day. You're standing in the kitchen, or perhaps you're leaning against the doorframe of the living room, and you're looking at your partner. They are just there, reading, scrolling, folding a blanket, and in that moment, the silence between you feels massive. Massive. If you're used to the old energy, the high wattage, high frequency vibration of the building years, this kind of stillness can feel like a threat. It can feel like a stall. You might find yourself searching their face for a sign of a problem, or scrolling back through your own mental files to see if there's a conflict you forgot to resolve. Your hands might even feel a little restless, like you need to reach out and strike a match, start a debate about the budget, ask a pointed question about the schedule, anything to create a spark, anything to make sure the lights are still on. For the last 3 weeks, we've been naming that restlessness. We've looked at the fireworks energy that fueled the first half of your life together, that brilliant, explosive, purposeful noise that got the house built and the kids raised. We've talked about how that intensity eventually cools, and how our brains often misinterpret that cooling as the death of love. But I want you to take a breath with me, right now. You aren't failing. The quiet you're feeling isn't a sign that the fire is going out. It's evidence that the heat has moved. It has moved from the flickering, visible flame into the very stones of the house you've built. What you're feeling is survivable. In fact, it's the destination. You aren't falling. You've just finally reached cruising altitude. The turbulence is over, and the air is clear. Now, we have to learn how to fly in it. So, the question we're answering today is the one that usually hits right about now. Okay, but what do we actually times do? How do we live in this fireplace season without feeling like we're just waiting for the end? How do we move from performance to presence? To do that, we have to change our relational mechanics. We have to stop trying to relight damp fuses and start learning the art of tending the coals. And it starts with a move I call the Diagnostic Drop. Now, let's look at how this functions. Because you are a high-functioning person, because you are a builder and a problem solver, your default setting is to treat a quiet room like a broken appliance. When the signal between you and your partner drops from a high-frequency broadcast to a low-frequency hum, your internal threat detection, that deeply hidden part of your brain, doesn't register rest. It registers a loss of power. So, you approach your partner with a diagnostic gaze. You look at them and ask, "What's wrong?" or "Are we okay?" But the subtext is, "Fix this. Give me a spark so I know we aren't dying." The diagnostic drop is the intentional act of putting down the repair kit. It is the moment you feel that itch to solve the silence, and you choose to let the silence sit instead. You drop the need to evaluate. You stop looking at your partner as a project or a puzzle, and you start looking at them as a landscape. A landscape you are finally still enough to see. Think about the difference between looking at a blueprint and looking at a mountain range. The blueprint requires your analysis. It demands that you find the errors. The mountain range just requires your presence. When you practice the diagnostic drop, you aren't ignoring your partner. You're actually seeing them for the first time in years without the filter of what do we need to coordinate next. So, what does this actually look like in the middle of a Tuesday evening? It looks like the moment you're sitting on the sofa and that familiar, anxious vibration starts humming in your chest, the one that wants to ask a logistical fire question just to break the quiet. Instead of asking the question, you just stay. You might say something that sounds like this: "It's actually really nice just sitting here with you." Notice that sentence. It isn't a question. It doesn't require them to perform. It doesn't ask them to prove they're still invested. It's an observation of the thermal mass you've already built. It's a statement that the current temperature is enough. You are signaling to your own system and to theirs that the absence of a struggle isn't a stall. It's peace. And peace is allowed here. This week, I want to invite you to try this exactly once. Find a moment where the two of you are in the same space and the noise of the day has died down. Maybe it's in the car after you've dropped the kids off, or in the kitchen after the dishes are done. When you feel that reflexive urge to strike a match to bring up a problem, to check a schedule, or to fill the space with logistical noise, I want you to wait just for 60 seconds. Drop the diagnostic gaze. Don't look for what's missing. Look at what is present. And then just name it. You might say, "I was just realizing how much I appreciate this quiet." That's it. No big talk, no forced vulnerability, just a small, grounded signal that the hearth is warm and you're happy to sit by it. You have spent 2 decades being the performers on a stage, lit by the brief flashes of building a life. You've earned the right to step off the stage and into the warmth. The weight you've been carrying, this burden of feeling like you had to keep the show going, keep the energy high, keep the sparks flying, you can set that down now. You aren't moving toward a loss of spark. You're moving toward substance. The hearth is not a place of boredom. It is a place of restorative power. It is the only thing that can keep the room warm through the long winter. You have built the stone. Now it's time to sit by the fire. Clarity is the beginning. Integration is the becoming.
Thanks for joining us on Connected Through Change. Remember, it takes 2 voices to walk one journey, and you don't have to navigate this alone. To go deeper, grab Russell's international best-selling book, The Good Husband's Guide to Menopause. Explore the weekly blog or take the Communication Clarity Assessment at connectedthroughchange.com. Stay steady, stay connected, and I'll see you in the next episode.